bushel of corn when you take it to an ethanol plant. A third of it is distiller's grains, which is feed. A third is ethanol. A third is CO2, which Lincoln Way is capturing. And then we squeeze the corn oil out of the back of the distiller's grains. So we get 4 products from that 1 bushel of corn. We all know in a bushel of corn you get 2.85 gallons of ethanol, 4/10 of a pound of oil, 15 pounds of distiller's grains, and 15 pounds of CO2. So that's the breakdown in 1 bushel of corn. Now what happens when you take 1 acre to town? I use gross dollars here because I want to show you the economic benefits that this has to our community, our country, and just our state. First of all, the day I did this, corn was $7. So the ethanol plant wrote me a check for $1,400. I'm going to harvest about $80 worth of corn stalks off of that land so that I can bed or use it for feed, and I'm going to take about $47 worth of manure back to the farm. So my first gross sale from that acre was $1,527, all right? I'm going to go through this kind of fast. Now, on the ethanol plant, took and turned that acre of corn into 570 gallons of ethanol. So that gross dollar value was $14.70. The CO2 that came off of that acre was $8. The corn oil was $40. The distiller's grains was $300 off that acre. In other words, the feed to go back to livestock. So the total gross dollar from that economic benefit was $1,818. Now, when it goes into the next step, the processor chain or the middleman, I marked it up $10. He's going to sell that distiller's grains for $310. Now, I figured out that there's enough calories in an acre of distiller's grains to finish out an animal, a steer. In other words, to fatten a steer to market. So now all of a sudden we bring the food back in it. We brought feed in, now we brought food in it. So now that steer value is almost $1,700. The ethanol was sold to the distributor. I marked it up 10 cents, so that gross sale was $1,500. The CO2 was sold to a processor in our local community that makes pizza toppings. And the corn oil was sold to a feed processor in Des Moines to make pig feed with. So that next gross sale of dollars was $3,500. Now this is the last step. Now it goes to us, the consumer. The middleman sold me the distiller's grains for my feed for the animal. The steer was sold to the grocery store. I marked it up $100 because of the offal for about $17.94. The CO2 was passed on to you, the consumer, through the freezing process. In other words, they use CO2 to fast freeze food or put the bubbly in your pot. So that you as the consumer paid that. The ethanol was sold to the consumer. That 1 acre generated $2,011 at the pump. The feed, the oil was sold to the pig farmer, and now you, the consumer, bought the beef in the grocery case, $6,055. I know that's a lot of numbers. Has anybody kept track? When corn was $3 an acre, or $3 a bushel, and gas was $2.50 a gallon, and cattle were $92 a hundredweight, on June 3rd, 2010, this was the gross dollar sales of that 1 acre. Now we all know what's happened the last 3 or 4 years to our markets. Look what happened when corn hit $7. Gasoline went to $3.50. Cattle went to $121 a hundred. That's $12,345 per acre that every acre could generate in this county because of taking it through an ethanol plant. Now, we've talked about food, we've talked about fuel, we've talked about feed, and we've talked about fertilizer. There is no issue, is there? My opinion.